Our contributions in education will be our legacy in this industry.
Whether it's through live education or maybe through social media, we're always trying to make a personal connection with you, the learner.
At Sanvia, we believe our smile is our business card, and our personality is our logo. And how we make people feel after you experience our education and tools is our trademark.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us, my friends, and be a part of the Sanvia community.
Oh, we're live. Okay. Hey, how you guys doing? Andrew Crothers, Education Director for Sanvia. I like to be a little goofy, shake it up a little bit. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about this question right here. What is enough? But before we do that, we got some things we got to just tidy up for next week. Next week, we have a really exciting week for you. We've got, of course, Mannequin Monday coming up. Or wait, that's last week's. Okay, I don't have next week's calendar. Well, sometimes, things just aren't where they're supposed to be. That's okay. But I can tell you guys, we've got some killer deals coming up because you all know that November is Black Friday deal month. So just check out the website, sanvia.com. We got early Black Friday deals coming up November 9th through the 13th. You can see there on the screen. We've got some super, super sweet deals for you guys, so don't miss that. Coming up, two weekends from now, though, we have our next show, Must Go On. Stay tuned for details about that. But just a little preview. It's all going to be about holiday styling, and we brought in the heavy hitters for this one. We've got Sammy himself, of course. We've got our art team member, Anna Peters, who you've seen her work. She does incredible upstyles. But guess who else we have? Jenny Strebe. That's right. We got Jenny Strebe and wait for it, Mustafa Avsi. Yeah, he's on too. So we've got 5 hours, and I'm actually even going to style some hair for you too. So we got 5 hours of incredible content coming up for you. More to come on that. So that's really what we got to talk about this afternoon. Glad you love the left-handed shears. Yes, we do make people feel better and look better for sure. What's up, Diane? Hope everything's going much better up there in Molalla. Fires have calmed down here, so I know they have up there too. Got Atlanta in the house. Spring Hill, Florida. Portugal is in the house. Yes, Sandra, Portugal. Love that. Boston, Trinidad. That's amazing, Anna. Horsham, PA. Lots of eyes on Pennsylvania right now. Oh, and Michigan's right above it. Yeah, lots of eyes on Michigan and Pennsylvania right now. We're not even going to go there, though. This is your escape from the madness, okay? So let's just talk just for a bit, because this topic came up. Well, look, Luis actually he just already answered the question. I love it, man. Oh, cool. We got London here, too. So this question was an interesting question. So I had a woman that she was just a brilliant client of mine. And she was actually a hairdresser. She is a hairdresser still and an incredible artist, Leela. And she came in, and I think it was just after New Year's, and we were talking, and I was like, oh, so what'd you do for New Year's? She's like, I went to this really cool party. And you know how when you go to parties, people kind of get into their little groups, and some people gather in the living room, and some people will gather into the kitchen, and people kind of like compartmentalize themselves a bit. So the host of the party wanted to change things up. So as you would walk into the party, she would hand you an envelope, and inside that envelope was a question. And each of the questions was these kind of thought-provoking questions that the whole group would participate in. So she'd like, let people do their thing, but then every once in a while she's like, hey, come on, everyone, come in. And she'd have someone read a question. And my client, my friend Leela, she got this question. And when she brought this to my attention, I was like, wow, what a powerful question to ask ourselves. What is enough? Because let's face it, we live in a world right now, especially on social media, that if you watch the memes, you're going to see things like rise and grind. I'll sleep when I'm dead. You against you. If you're not growing, you're dying. So we have tons and tons of memes and quotes and all these things that keep telling us that basically we're supposed to spread ourselves thin to be successful. And this is a message that's been pushed for a very long time. And for most of us, those things, they very quickly reach from being motivational and inspirational to something that leaves us feeling depleted, something that leaves us feeling in a sense of overwhelm. So we need to ask ourselves, at what point is it enough? How much is enough money? How much is enough fame? How much is enough success? How much is enough ... You fill in the blank. So that's what we want to kind of talk about today. Cool? Hi, Sonia, in from Pakistan. Awesome. Melissa, that's fantastic. So she's a student, taught her so much. Very, very happy to hear that. That's what keeps us going, because we put a lot into these shows and always makes us happy to know that it's helping out. Gina's from Canada. Luis in from Peru. Very cool. All right, so here's what I would like to kind of touch on during our time together. First, we want to kind of talk about what do we need and what do we want? Because when we get clear on what we need and what we want, it helps us to start to set realistic benchmarks. We also want to talk about how do you make peace with that sense of enough? Because again, it's not a message that we hear super often, that it's okay to just be enough. And then there's so much research out there on the power of doing less. And I know that seems like such an odd concept, that there would be a benefit to actually doing less, but there is. So those are the things we're going to talk about today. So first things we want to ask ourselves. First, what do we need? This is a really essential question, because really there's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and that hierarchy of needs really puts it into perspective of what's baseline that we have to survive, things like food and water and shelter. But then there's community and connection. And then the very top of the pyramid, when we get to the very top of the pyramid, it's self-actualization, which at that point we're kind of fulfilled, right? Because we're so connected to self. So we need to ask ourselves, what do we really need? And we kind of need to add that specific word into the question. What do we really need? Because sometimes we might start off with this concept of what do we need? And when we ask ourselves, what do we need? We might come to some things that potentially aren't true needs. They might be wants or things that we think we need, but let's face it, COVID has been a great teacher for this, hasn't it? The things that you probably thought that you needed to be happy or needed to just survive, some of those things were probably challenged this year. And within that time, you recognize that, oh, actually, I can be quite happy without those things. I can survive just fine without those things. Yeah, Melinda, so we need each other. That's huge, right? This community and companionship. Again, COVID's been a great teacher. And I know I took for granted how much just being able to go to my mom's house and just give her a hug and like sit down at her dinner table with her without being worried that I was going to give her some crazy virus, right? So that need for each other, that need for connection. Yeah. So that's question number one. Question number two, then we can start to, once we start to understand what do we really need, and we're talking like baseline, have to have it, then we start to ask ourselves, okay, well, cool, that's set. Now, what do we want? And again, I'd recommend that we sneak a word in there, which is really, truly, because this is super essential. Yeah, Luis, that's beautiful, man. Love what we do every single day and enjoy it. That is definitely something that most of us really, truly want in our lives, is to have a career and a lifestyle that we love what we do each day. And good thing is, a lot of us hairdressers, we get to. Yeah, and good. When we say, what do we really, truly want? Some money. Yes, for sure. And, again, I think that's where we kind of need to ask ourselves, what do we really, truly want? Because here's what I would sometimes challenge, like when, let's say I'm going through this exercise with one of my coaching clients. Okay, what do you really, truly want? Well, I'd like to make more money. Okay, let's go further, because money is great, but money is an instrument to something. So dig a little further. What do you really, truly want? What is that money going to do that satisfies something so deeply inside of you that it justifies the pursuit of that? Does that make sense? So we have to ask ourselves those questions a little bit further, not just what's on the client. Neil's saying need more clients. Awesome. And that's a very realistic need, because to make a living and to have something that supports our family, we might need more clients, which is beautiful. Yeah, very good, Sonia. We need contentment for whatever we have in our lives. Yeah, that's one thing we definitely need, which is gratitude. Christy's saying connection. Jess is saying joy. Yeah, Shirley, you're saying didn't realize you needed the break until COVID gave me an unexpected 11-week break. And I think there's probably other people here, and just if you're on this same page, say yes, because Shirley hit the nail on the head. It kind of forced us to recognize that sometimes we actually need to take some time for ourselves. Like, that's a human need. Yes, the money's important. Yes, satisfying our clientele, that's important. But we also need to take care of each other. We need to take care of ourselves. Yeah, we need to lift each other up, right, Melinda? Yes, for sure. So when we really start to tap into this, we start to release something that can be really something that will make us miserable, and it's this word. My life coach, Lynn Christian, often says we do a lot of damage when we should all over ourselves. And this is what we do to ourselves, right? We should on ourselves. Well, I should want more money. I should want more clients. I should want that better car. I should want that better house. I should. Once again, COVID's been a great teacher for this, because it's been forcing us to say, okay, we'll take the should out of it. Because we've been taught now that we can potentially be home more with our family and actually be happier. That achieving that next goal, maybe that's actually not what makes me happy. Maybe what makes me happy is taking the time instead and placing it somewhere I value. So the should comes primarily from external places. Should comes from social media. It comes from the news. It comes from advertising. Advertising is such a tricky thing, because these advertising agency guys, they know exactly what they're doing. They are playing with the inherent challenges within our human mind. which is the need for connection, which is the need for belonging. And they do it so well that we don't even notice. They're telling us we need this thing so that we can feel connected, so that we can feel that we are a part of something. And that's what advertising is all about. So should is something that tends to come to us from external. And yes, Diane, for sure, we need honesty. Yes, 100%. I will agree with you like that. Oh, thank you, Sonia. We need Andrew Sir's live session. Hi, Jill Hare from Australia. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Nina. Chris from Neenah, Wisconsin. Oh, got to bring this one up. Yes, need to work together, eliminate the hatred, and lift each other up in times of hardship. For sure. We have shown that to ourselves this year. For sure, we need that. And Jess, like you're saying, in reality, these things that we feel we should want, in reality, we just don't need those things. And half the time, we don't even really want them. We have just been so told from some external source that we should want these things that we've been convinced. Man, yeah, Earl, don't should all over the place. Glad you guys are with us. What's up, Taylor Andrews? Good to have you guys here. Yes. So be cautious, because this is coming at us from so many different places. Should also comes from a place that's very subconscious, because our teachers aren't always conscious teachers. So this could be our parents. This could be our leadership within our spiritual followings that we have. It could be our teachers. And during the times that they're unconsciously teaching us, we're still recording what's happening. So if you grew up in a household that your father or your mother or someone else in the household that you looked up to was constantly wanting that next fill in the blank, whether it's a car or a TV, or there's just that always that sense of wanting of something material or something else, even though they might not be teaching you that consciously, your unconscious is always picking that stuff up. So if you grew up in a family, even if the words that they were saying to you at the dinner table is, yeah, you don't need that stuff, like, you're fine just as you are, but then they turn around and they demonstrate something different, you're still learning that behavior and you're still learning that mindset from them. So this comes usually from these outside sources. Yes, Jess, for sure, we need to listen to our hearts instead of to the media. Yeah, beautiful. One more peace and respect in your workplace. Beautiful. What a great thing to want and need. Hi, Alessandro from Italy. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well over there. Yes, Christine, knowledge definitely has power. So let's talk about, once we start to identify this, we start to erase this guy out of our world. Goodbye, should. When we really register what we really need and what we really want, that's when we can start to shake that should model, get rid of it. And when we're just energetically, when we're working towards things that we truly need or we truly want, just on an energetic level, the world wants to put that into your consciousness. When we're fighting for things that we don't really need or don't really actually want, the universe is pretty good at not giving it to us. My friend Carlo Novoa, who I was actually going to have jump on with us tonight, I was putting together the lesson plan this week, and I sent him a message. I'm like, Carlo, I think this would be such a great topic for you to come join me, because he talks about these things quite often. And unfortunately, he has a show that he calls Women of Power Wednesday, which usually is in the mornings, but he switched it to this same time, so he wasn't able to join us. And I completely forget why I brought his name up. Oh, crap. Oh, he was talking about when we think we need something or we think we want something, and we put all this energy into it, and we keep, finding like, well, gosh, man, like this Porsche just isn't even showing up in my driveway. I thought that I should just be able to manifest it by thinking about it. Well, it doesn't show up because you don't really need it. And maybe you don't even really want it. It's not the right thing to be placed in front of you. So sometimes when we don't get what we think we need or we think we want, it might just be the universe saying, you actually don't need that. It's probably not the right thing for you. So something to think about. Jack saying happens to me. Oh, cool. We got the Netherlands in the house. Thank you for joining us. Yes, hope we are essential for sure. That's awesome, Shirley. The more stuff I purge from the house, the happier I am. I find that too. Like I'm not gonna hide from the fact that I tend to collect too much crap. We've got 2 garages downstairs that are filled with stuff. Most of it's mine. A few things are Michelle's, but yes, each time I go down to the garage and clear that stuff out, I feel much better. And I just have to go through that process. Oh, guys, what is the thing? Kondo, Marie Kondo, is that her name? I don't know if you guys have heard of her, but we did that one time. We did the Marie Kondo thing with our drawers in our house, which is you reorganize your drawers, you take things out, and you literally hold the shirt and you go, do I love this thing? Do I love this t-shirt? By the way, did you guys see my shirt? Yeah. My friend Rose, you guys should go follow her. Her name on Instagram is Moonrocks2Roses. Moonrocks2Roses. She makes these t-shirts, and I just think it's the coolest thing. So I'm actually going to have her on a Wellness Wednesday too. But anyway, back to our point. Yes, getting rid of stuff always feels great. So let's talk about making peace with enough. So I'd be curious. Oh, good. Yeah, awesome, Diane. Loving the shirt. Very cool. So I'd be just curious if you guys can just type into the chat there. What do you feel like enough means to you? Because I think that's an important distinction to make when we talk about making peace with this sense of enough. What is enough? What does that mean to you that something is enough? I'm going to give you just a moment to type that in. Because I know that's a big question. Jacques Ross, simplicity. Yes, enough doesn't, I wouldn't 100% agree with that. It tends to mean simplicity. Jill Hare, asking if I've done any podcasts. Not yet. I've got a good friend that we've been talking about a podcast for a while, and I'm going to have to tell her that it came up once again, the question about a podcast. It's so funny because we've been talking about the podcast together for a while, and then just different things come up in life, and we're like, we'll know when it's time, but, hey. To be content, blah, blah, blah. I love your screen name. That's fantastic. Yes, to be content. Christy's saying work-life balance. Purging mentally, emotionally, and materialistic is great for the soul. Yes, Gina. More clients would be enough. Beautiful. Anastasia's saying contentment, individuality, work-life balance, Christy. Yep, got that. Sometimes a dozen is good to start with. Yeah, there you go. Neil's saying when fulfillment and contentment are aligned, when I've done everything I can do in a situation without sacrificing my own abilities to grow myself. Oh, Mana, love that. Yes, beautiful. Shirley's saying if she can take care of her medical needs and cats, then that's enough. Beautiful. I love that. Gave up Cosmo, but still watching. Awesome. Yeah, thank you for sticking around with us. There's so much great stuff on Wellness Wednesday. Even when we have other hairdressers on, the content here I think is always super, super awesome, right? Being happy with your results without picking on what's not perfect. Dirta, beautiful, yes, because that's what gets us into trouble, isn't it? We accomplish something, but then we start picking it apart. Well, it could have been better with this, and it could have been better with if I did that, which, hey, great. Like, it's always a beautiful thing to do some self-coaching on something and to understand how you can continue to improve. But I like how you put it, without picking on what's not perfect. Well said. More clients, Mana. Yes. Jill's saying family is everything. And I think a lot of people this year, that was a huge recognition of enough really came down to, oh, wait, being here with my family. Like, we don't have to go on these huge vacations. We don't have to have these 10 million things that we do every single day. We can just be at home and do a puzzle and hang out together. And that's enough. Wow. Imagine that. Powerful. Mind is clear of stress and anxiety. That's enough. Beautiful. Shutting out the noise and negativity. Learn all is enough, whatever we have in our life. Yes. Well said, Sonia. Yes, perfect. Awesome. So we're hitting a lot of them. I love this. Thank you so much for adding these in. Oh, I love you too, Earl. Thank you, brother. So if we think about everything that we put here, this is stuff that comes from inside. This isn't stuff that comes from outside. There's definitely this is, Earl and I were actually talking about this. We were having a phone call a couple of weeks ago. And initially I was kind of weird about the fact that it has become very popular to post uplifting comments. I just thought it was kind of funny that it became trendy to kind of post all these really uplifting, positive comments. And sometimes, you look through the feed and you're like, well, you just said I love everyone on this one, but then you just like talked shit on someone in the next post. And so, anyway, I digress. But what is awesome is that we were talking about it, and it's like, how cool is it that is actually becoming a popular thing? Like, if we want something to become a fad in our world, what about positive thinking? That's so beautiful. And so external forces for so long have been these kind of messages of, struggle, and like you have to push harder and you need to achieve more. But we are starting to finally see things coming in that have more of this message that, like, it's okay to be just a peaceful human. That's okay too. But I think what's so important here is that we recognize that everything that you guys are saying about what is enough, that peacefulness with enough, that comes from inside. It comes from the heart. So it's really important that we understand that it's our spiritual connections, it's our innate wisdom, it's that internal that really makes us or brings us into that state of peace. Hi, Masora. Hi, please reply to me. I did, my friend. Hello. Yes, inside and inspired. Yes, beautiful, beautiful. What's this, Joe? The old saying is, as long as you have a roof over your head and food in your belly, you are okay. Yeah, absolutely. And, to Sonia's point too, I think that just that recognition that almost regardless of what we have coming in from the external world, just that recognition that we in and of ourselves are already enough. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to ever accomplish anything. Just for that recognition that just being a being on this earth is a blessing. And so we're already this beautiful creature. Everything else that we do is just kind of bonus, right? One of the things that I can suggest with finding peace with the sense of enough is working with the with your personal values. So my coach Lynn Christian, which she'll be back on with me here pretty soon, but really establishing a sense of what are your core values can be a beautiful place for this, because one of the guiding principles of our heart is that sense of what do we value, what's most important to us. So for me, my core values are love, happiness, and wisdom. And I've defined those things very specifically. Love isn't romantic love. It's that love that we have that's more of a compassionate, empathetic feeling. So this that I have on my chest and tattooed on my knuckles is one of my core values. So when I think about making peace with this sense of enough, I can reflect off of that. I can say, okay, is this thing that I'm thinking maybe I should do or something, is that going to bring more love, meaning compassion, empathy? Is that going to bring that into my life? Wisdom, that's a core value of mine. So I can always bounce things off. Okay, this thing that I'm maybe feeling like I should do, is it going to bring more wisdom to me? Is it going to bring more peacefulness? Is it going to bring more happiness? And if it's not, then it's not necessary. What am I doing it for if it's not fulfilling some piece of me that's core to who I am? So establishing your core values, and a really easy process that you can do is just sit down and you can do a search on the internet just for words that are core values to people. You'll get lists and lists and lists. If you want to email me, you can just here, I'll put my email in here and I'll actually send you a list. Hang on one second. Probably have this in here, right? You can email me, Andrew at thejourneyistlife.com. The Journeyist is my coaching company. You can email me and say, hey, I'd like that core values list. I can send you the core values. And basically, you can just go through and you can start to narrow down what is it that's on this list that's really important to me. Mine's a pretty big list. It's pretty exhaustive. I spent a lot of time making sure as much was on there as possible. So you can email me for that. But getting down to those sense of core values, like I said, it helps us to understand, okay, is this important? Does this fit my peaceful enough? Excuse me. Get some water because the throat's getting dry. Pamela Lala, you're saying we need collaboration in my place. Yeah. This is something I think we need, period, because let's face it, guys, there's been a lot of things out there this year, from all the way from the beginning of this year. There's been lots of things happening in our world, and through COVID, through politically, through every aspect of our world, that has had a lot of messages that have pulled us apart from each other. And collaboration and connection is the only way that we're going to move forward with any of it. So we need to get back to this sense of connection, you know. So beautifully said, Pamela. Yeah, Hope, well said. You rock too. Jean, are these your core values? Love, joy, comfort, peace. Beautiful. Love you too from Dubai, Masura. Oh, I like that. The moral compass. Very nice, Jill. Yeah, I actually have a compass ring. And that's kind of one of the things that I always think about when I touch this ring, is just what guides me. So I think that what's so important is that to find this peace, we have to go internal. We have to go inside, because everything else that makes us peaceful, I'm recognizing as kind of a band-aid. Like, for instance, I love great food. Great food is one of the things that brings me so much joy and so much happiness. But what I've recognized is that it's still kind of a band-aid, because it's still a kind of a distraction from what's really going to bring me peace, which is that internal work, that internal awareness. Kind of like I was saying with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that self-actualization is the top of the pyramid. So all of the things that we kind of say that we want from external, it's all great. And I would never tell you not to want the cool car, because cool cars are fun. Like, I want a nice camper because I love to go camping. But just recognize that that peaceful state, that has to come from deep within. So before I turn you guys loose, so we're going to keep this particular Wellness Wednesday a little short, but before I turn you loose, the one thing that I just want to leave you with is that recognize too that there's such a power in doing less and letting go of things that no longer serve you. And something kind of hit me as I was sitting outside recently, because I was watching the leaves and, like, as they were falling. I love metaphor. And the metaphor that really hit me was that these leaves that were coming off of the tree lets those go because the leaves have died. The leaves fall to the ground, but the leaves don't just vanish into thin air. They actually nourish the soil so that more things can continue to grow. And it was such a huge realization for me personally, because I recognized that there were things in my life that have always been there for me, that have always been so important to me. And in the last year or two, I recognized they're not as important as they once were. But they've been so important to me for so long that I didn't want to let them go. And the fear is if I let them go, that it would somehow discredit the value that they had had to me for those past however many years. But the truth is it's kind of the same thing as the leaves shedding, the trees shedding their leaves. Those things that we let go of, it's not that they just disappear and become invaluable. It's that they go back into the ether. If you're into kind of like the more energetic world that we live in, like I am, everything that we release just goes back into the energy field. It's one of the principles of energy. Energy can't be destroyed. It doesn't just disappear. It becomes something else. It transmutes, or it transmigrates into something else. So these things that we've been holding on to, these kind of dead leaves that have probably needed to be shed, those are the things that we can now let go of with a peaceful sense that releasing them back is potentially nourishing something else. And there's only so much time in your day. There's so much energy that you have, because even if you're excited about something, you guys have probably felt it, like you still get burned out on it if you do it too much, right? I know that I hit a certain point as a hairdresser, because I had been doing like 60-hour work weeks, that I really started to hate hair. And that was the first time that particular craft had started to become something I didn't enjoy. But to make that space for something new to come in, we can't just fill every ounce of time. We can't just fill every ounce of our energy with things and stuff to do. We have to create that space. And I think that, COVID again has really taught us that taking a step back and having the time to recharge and to replenish ourselves too, that creates space for new, beautiful things to happen. So my challenge to you today is to look at these things, to look at what are your core values? What are those things that are truly most important to you? To really ask yourself, what is it you really need? What is it you deeply want? Not just on the surface, but ask further. If it is the car, if it's the house, if it's the camper outside, whatever that thing is that you feel like you need or feel like you want, ask why you truly want that. What is it about your core values? What does it mean to you? Because number one, if it is true that you do need it, or it is true that you do want it, when you connect with it emotionally like that, the power that you have to bring it into your life just expands so much more. But the second thing that might happen is as you start to compare it to something like your personal core values, it could happen that you go, oh, maybe I actually don't need that. Maybe I don't actually want that. And shutting that drive off isn't taking you further away from anything. In fact, it's putting you closer to something, which is peacefulness. So let's not worry so much about these memes and quotes that say grind, rise and grind, and you got to fight for it. You got to push harder and you'll sleep when you're dead. And, if you're not growing, you're dying. If you're motivated by those things and inspired by them, more power to you. Beautiful. For many of us, those things aren't motivating. They're overwhelming. And you don't need to be overwhelmed. So be okay with shedding those processes, compare things to those sense of core values, and really understand what you truly need. I'm going to touch on a few of these comments, and then we're going to wrap up. Shirley, this is really beautiful. COVID had given us some interesting gifts. Show me the people who share in some way my values of compassion, connectedness, authenticity, beautiful values, that it's led to distancing from people who didn't. Some serious peace was gained by it. Yeah, so beautiful, Shirley. And that's one of the things that's probably hardest to let go of, right? Is relationships that we've built. And sometimes those relationships, if they're not congruent with who we are, if they're not congruent with our values, it might be best to shed those. And by the way, same principle works. Shedding those relationships doesn't devalue that person. It doesn't devalue even the relationship that you used to have. There's a great quote. It says, people come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. That person might have come into your world just for that one reason. They had something to share with you. They had something to teach you. But that was all the relationship was for. And so shedding that relationship doesn't devalue that reason, that season. And then you, of course, have those relationships you'll have for a lifetime. Yes, Hope, we're all growing with the earth. Absolutely. And Dirta, yes, put it out into the universe. Let's face it, guys, we are electricity. Everything around us is electricity. So if you think you're not affecting things around you by your thoughts and the way you're putting things out there, sorry, but you are. Good, Jill, you're getting it. Awesome. Sonia saying her values are consideration, loyalty, positive thinking, live in the present. Beautiful. Yes, awesome. Needed this today. Got caught up in a tornado at work. Yes, those do tend to happen occasionally, don't they? Oh, beautiful, Cindy. Thank you, my friend. Right back at you. I'm glad that this spoke to you today. Yeah, Nancy, these things are not worth the stress, for sure. So, like I said, if you guys would like to connect with me, if you'd like to have that list of core values, please feel free to shoot me an email, andrew@thejourneyistlife.com. Don't try to go to that website yet because it's not up. I've been doing a massive overhaul for like 2 or 3 months with a really great team of girls in Boise, Idaho, actually. So new website hopefully is going to launch here within the next few weeks, so you can check on it on occasion. But in the meantime, you're welcome to email me, andrew@thejourneyist.life. And of course, you know where to find me every Wednesday and pretty often in between, which is right here on the Sambia YouTube and Facebook channels. And also, let me get this up so you have it. But I think, whoops, hang on. It's hard to operate everything and talk at the same time, y'all. But right down here at the bottom, you also have my Instagram, andrew.carruthers. You're welcome to connect with me there. I'm pretty good at keeping up on the comments. But if there's anything else that you guys would love to touch on a Wellness Wednesday, this program is going to continue. We started it back when COVID first hit to make sure that we're supporting you guys in more than just hairdressing. And this program is going to continue well into next year. So if there's things that you would like to talk about on Wellness Wednesday, shoot me a message because we're always looking for great guests. And We've got a bunch coming up very soon. So stay tuned. Lots more to come. And I'll see you actually on next week on Monday for Mannequin Monday. Take care.